The Drexler Organization. Established during a Great War, they operated throughout Europe while receiving technological assistance from demonic beings. There were two areas of research that Drexler devoted the majority of its time and resources to: artificial maidens and artificial arcana. They would engineer artificial substitutes for the natural arcana that maidens normally form contracts with, while also developing methods to artificially grant ordinary girls the power of maidens. The goal here should be obvious. The organization would gain control over a seemingly endless army of arcana users. Normally, the development of technology like this would be impossible, but Drexler's demonic ties made the impossible possible. These artificial maidens were raised as combat personnel and subjected to severe combat training from a very early age. Drexler's Japanese branch was even able to conceal itself beneath the facade of a religious boarding school. And they didn't just cause problems during wartime, they also attempted to sink Japan in its entirety. One of their greatest achievements was the creation of the divine weapon Ragnarok. As for the girls themselves, there are multiple generations of artificial maidens. The first generation, also known as artificial angels, not to be confused with regular maidens since they're sometimes referred to by the same term. The second generation, Valkyries, and the third generation, Valkyrias. The creation of these artificial maidens wasn't without side effects though. The second generation Valkyries, for example, would suffer a loss of hair pigmentation. Their eyes would become crimson and they would experience memory problems. The artificial arcana, meanwhile, would become known as Geis. They typically resemble mechanical versions of spiritual creatures, and unlike natural arcana, they don't possess wills of their own. They connect to the artificial maidens through a network known as the Ether Link. Beyond even this, while not technically any sort of fourth generation, there is also the Hybrid. Play on the word. Hybrid. The terminology is a little on the nose, but as the name suggests, they can wield both an arcana and a geist. Drexler was also performing experiments involving spirit stones. While spirit stones are essentially just regular old rocks in the elemental world, they're incredibly valuable in the material world. Drexler used these stones to power its machinery. In the case of its divine weapon Ragnarok, they function as its power cores. There are also rainbow-colored spirit stones. So if the others are basically just rocks in the elemental world, then what's so different about the rainbow ones? Well, these rainbow stones are what's left of people who traveled to the elemental world but failed to become ethereal, crystallized human souls. Drexler was conducting teleportation experiments using the Valkyries, but none of them returned. These Valkyries were essentially being used as ingredients to create more of these stones. How lovely. The progression of Drexler's experiments would essentially go as follows: acquire subjects, artificially grant them spiritual abilities, refine the process generation by generation, engineer them for combat functionality, condition them from childhood to serve as soldiers, use psychological control when necessary, deploy the subjects operationally, and finally, if they fail to be of proper use, simply use them as material.